What's up, Wargamers? Welcome back to the channel, Death from Above Wargaming. I'm Aaron, and I am coming back with some exciting announcements and two looks at some exciting new releases from Catalyst. The premium miniature, the Timberwolf TC, I've got one in the package, I've got one fully assembled, and I got some other fun stuff going there that I want to show you. And then also I'm going to give you, not necessarily a deep dive, but my first impression and a quick look at some of the things in the brand new Empire Alone Ilclan sourcebook that was recently released. And I know a lot of you guys have gotten your hands on it, a lot of you have not, but I will tell you it's definitely worth its weight. Some really great stuff in there. And then I have some very big channel announcements. In fact, I think we'll start with those August 1st. It's a big day for the channel, lots of exciting things happening. So guys, stay tuned. All of that is coming your way. And we're back. Okay, so first and foremost, I just said it, August 1st. I'm going to say it again. It's a big day. Exciting things happening. Finally, our second album, 32nd Century, will be released. You should be able to get it on YouTube, Amazon, Spotify, iTunes. You can stream it, or if you so desire, you can actually buy a copy of the album for yourself. It's fully digitally distributed. Very cool. It's got some great cover artwork that we showed off on Patreon. I think the songs are fantastic. You've heard a lot of them in the battle reports to date, but there are a couple others in there, some final tweaks and changes that we made to some of the songs along the way. So some really good stuff. I'm really proud of the work that the team did on that one. I think it's a really good one. So definitely give it a stream, give it a listen. Play it while you're rolling some dice. So that's the first thing. The other thing that is happening is we are releasing a brand new sort of overhaul of our Alpha Strike campaign system. So we took the original Chaos campaign inspired rules, and what we did was we merged those with some of the concepts that we really liked from that Strike Operations campaign system, the narrative campaign system that we built for the BattleTech Destiny game. And so what we sort of ended up with is an Alpha Strike campaign set that blends sort of these character-centric concepts, secondary skills, advancement throughout the campaign, with all of the stuff we know and love from the Chaos campaign system, you know, salvage, repairs, support points, you know, moving through the tracks, all of that stuff. Clarified a lot of the language, I think. It's a really tight rule set. We're actually going to be featuring a campaign over the next several weeks, featuring two well-known forces using these rules. And they feature that pick-off-the-shelf sort of methodology where everything's been sort of abstracted out into this force value concept, so you don't have to worry about counting points. Just kind of pick some mechs that you want to play with, you organize them into a campaign force, and then you go. So it's pretty cool in that regard. Speaking of BattleTech Destiny, we've gotten so many questions about it, a lot of excitement around it still, which is fantastic. We're really thrilled about that. And so many people wanted access to the tool, which of course was available to patrons exclusively, as the tool was very much in a sort of rapid development and iteration, very much in like a beta type of state. I'm excited to say that that tool is ready to roll out. And we are going to be releasing that to the general public. So anybody can go to our website and get access to that Destiny tool. It's a card builder. You can basically input anything from the MechWarrior Destiny book, any of the weapons in that book, any of the equipment in that book. You can basically input it right into that card builder, and it will present the updated sort of card for you, so you can have access to that. Some of the features, some of the more advanced features, a lot of the stuff that we house ruled and came up with still will be available to patrons only. So if you want to sort of take that Destiny game to the next level, or if you want some features of convenience like the sort of the linkage between Megamech and the Destiny card builder, those features are still available to patrons. But the core of the tool, right, the beating heart of it, is available now to everybody on 8.1. Speaking of digital tools, along with the Alpha Strike campaign, we've got a brand new Alpha Strike card builder. And this thing is really, really sweet. It's got a whole new look and feel, but also has spots, as I was mentioning, for those secondary skills. That will also be publicly available to everybody starting on 8.1, just right out of the gate. Some of the features that we have for patrons on that tool are things like where you can toggle off, I guess, the house rules that we use. So if you want to use the raw 2-to-1 sort of ranges or the range modifiers or anything along those lines, you'd have some options there. And also we have a pretty slick integration with master unit list where you can just pull units right in without have to entering them in manually. So again, just some convenience features there for our patrons. And if you're interested in supporting us on Patreon, of course you can do that. We have 3 main tiers, $1, $5, $10. We also added an elite tier for those of you that, choose to support us in a bigger way. And those folks get more behind the scenes access. They'll get early access to videos and tools and things like that when it's available as well. Some of you don't like Patreon, and that's perfectly fine. I heard you, so many guys, and thank you so much. You've emailed me, you're like, hey, do you have a PayPal, do you have a Venmo? Well, how can I support you? And we didn't have anything because I didn't want to get in that of just sort of like receiving money on the blind from people. So, we had sort of previously restricted that to Patreon only. However, YouTube has come out with a brand new feature in the last, quarter or two. It's called Super Thanks, and I recently enabled that after doing some research and some, basically talking to other content creators on how that would work. So essentially, it's like a tipping system on the video. There's the like button. There's, all the stuff at the bottom of the video. There's a new Super Thanks button, or if you want to throw us a couple bucks for the video. I think YouTube presets the amounts. But you can go in and you can, if you want to support the channel. So if you don't want to get into the recurring thing with Patreon or anything along those lines, this is just another avenue for those of you that don't want to go that Patreon route. One final thing that we did with YouTube is we recently integrated our Teespring merch shelf right with YouTube. So in the coming weeks, you'll be able to basically access, DFA t-shirts and hoodies and things like that right from YouTube, which is pretty cool. Again, just so you're not bouncing around from site to site, you can see what's there right there on our channel homepage. So that's all the big stuff, and that's all coming. Most of it's coming 8.1. The merch stuff, I don't know. They said that might take a couple of weeks to get everything integrated and set up, but the wheels are in motion there. So some pretty cool things, and I hope that those of you that do now have access to the tools enjoy them, but they are there now for the world to enjoy. Now, speaking of enjoying, let's first talk about Empire Alone, shall we? So this is a brand new source book here, relatively new. I think it came out maybe a few weeks ago. The first thing that I look at in all of these source books is the artwork. I feel like this is like story time with Aaron. Hey, boys and girls. So this is the artwork on this is absolutely phenomenal. I love it. I actually went into the credits to see who the artist or artists were. There are so many of them. There's, I want to say like 10 or 15 different artists that are credited in here, and each and every one of them just did such a fantastic job. So the book opens up with a story from the man, the myth, the legend, Randall N. Bills. Very good. It's called Deep Currents. I think it sets the tone for the book. Really well done. And of course, the next thing is just the map. Like what's going on in this thing. Oops, speaking of maps, look what just slipped out of the back. Check this out. This is one of my favorite things about this source book. Like giant maps, guys. Can I just tell you how much I love giant maps? This thing is awesome. So on one side, it's got all the, the stellar cartography and things like that. And then on the flip side, it's got basically the names of the planets, all the things. So this was also in the previous source book, but this is really good, really, really cool. Okay, so the one thing I love about this is it's about the Free Worlds League. So there's all the great stuff that you know and love, Silverhawks and, all kinds of great things that speak to sort of the classic lore that that we all grew up with, but again, it's in this new sort of semi-recognizable, new time frame, new alliances. Again, like, check this artwork out. I wish I could show you all of the pages of artwork. It's just absolutely phenomenal. But anyway, I have admittedly not read through the entire book and cover to cover, but I have sort of gone through quite a bit of it. The other thing is that they got a picture of Hack from all the new books, right? Hack Kincaid, one of the Wolf Dragoons dudes. It's funny, like, you read the books and you have like a mental model of like what these dudes would look like, and then you see a picture. I mean, there's a picture of Nicole Merrick in this one too. Oh yeah, she's in there too. So very cool, to see these characters. And then of course, similar layout to the other one, the previous one, where basically it's got some planets and a brief rundown of what's going in. And then in the back, a rules annex on how to create an Empire alone scenario, some new rules for Alpha Strike, the SCAs and things along those lines, and of course Tom's favorite, the random assignment tables for the Ill Clan era, and there's quite a bit in here. And in true Free Worlds League fashion, I think there's subtables. Yeah, there's subtables for the Free Worlds League because they're still like, not fully functional. So very cool. So anyway, that's Empire Alone. This is available on the Catalyst store. This is also available at Aries Games and Minis. Great prices over there. You can always get everything over at Aries Games and Minis. And if he doesn't have it in stock, you can usually email Derek and he tells you pretty quickly, when he thinks he'll be able to get you a copy. So Empire Alone, just a quick sort of first impression. Again, really, really fantastic product. Love the artwork. I mean, that alone is inspiration for a campaign. You want to play a battle with your friends and you look at this picture like, that's cool. That's what I want. I'm going to do something like that. You could set up your board in that way. If you're doing a Mech Warrior Destiny a scenario for that, like, you can get so much, draw so much out of these books. So really, really well done. And again, the short stories are great. So even if you're not like a rules or not necessarily like a history buff, it's just a great thing to have on your shelf. So that's that. Let's talk about premium miniatures, shall we? All right, so this is the Timberwolf TC variant. Now, we've seen these premium minis before. I didn't review the Hammerhead. I know they made an announcement about that. The Hammerhead had some production quality issues. No big deal. These things happen. We know that they're still kind of cutting their teeth on these multi-part things. I did see a hilarious thread on the Facebook where somebody asked the question, what exactly makes these a premium miniature? There were some pretty fantastic responses in that thread. But regardless, sometimes the internet is wonderful for this. For those of you that have a sense of humor, thank you. But so basically what you get in this pack is, you get the Timberwolf body, you get 2 arms, you get like the hips, so you can mount the torso on the hips, right? And then you get 4 different legs, and you can, as I will show you, you can put them together in any, this does not like, it's not like the 2 have to go together and the other 2. You can do any combination as long as you have 1 left leg and 1 right leg, of course. So this is what the Timberwolf looks like assembled. All right. So I chose one of the, the flat planted legs and one of the running legs. The detail on this thing, I think, is really, really good. You can see the missile racks are in fact much smaller than the standard Timberwolf. The gun barrels are very, very Vulture-esque in that regard. And just let's take a look at this here. This is really what I want to get to, is if you look at it side by side with the original Timberwolf, it's very recognizable. And I think, and we've talked about this, right? Some of the original plastics, right? They had a little bit of issues with the warping, and you can kind of see this guy, like maybe he is a little flaccid there on the top. This is much more crisp, this model, this premium miniature, because it is, in that resin material. So it is very good overall. Very, very happy with the way this thing turned out, and the level of detail is still there. I did very, very little cleanup on this model. You can see there's like a couple of Here and there, there's like a couple of little things. Actually, maybe those are bolts. I'm not even sure. There was like a tiny, tiny little thing on the gun barrel that I had to peel off. But this one, the quality was probably the best. I mean, I've looked at the Stormcrow. I never got a Black Knight, such is life. The Stormcrow, the Wolfhound, the Grinner. I did get a Hammerhead. Um, it was a disaster. I understand these things happen, and then this Timberwolf. Out of those, I would say this one has been by far the best one. So, I think when we reviewed the Wolfhound, Tom made the joke about what do we do with all the extra legs? We make a centipede mech. Classic Tom. I wish he was here tonight, but he couldn't be here. So I want to show you what I did with it. So I had this defunct Vulture laying around, and it was defunct because it was actually missing a foot. I don't know how this happens, but it was missing a foot. It was no big deal. I got a replacement for it. It was actually like way back. I think this was like original Kickstarter. It came in the first box, but it was all it was just one of the ones that just came out of the oven wrong, and it happens. But what I did was I kept it because I keep it's like, hey, bits. So I was planning on cutting it up and using it, but then after I assembled this TC, I was like, holy crap, like, if you don't know, like the Timberwolves and the Vultures have the exact same leg. So I took one of the Timberwolf legs, I cut the old Vulture leg off at the hip, and I glued this leg on, and it turned out great, in my opinion. Like you won't be able to tell when it's painted. You can barely tell now. I mean, functionally they look identical. And then I had an extra Hellbringer, and since I don't know, I'm just not a Hellbringer fan. I love the name. I love the concept of the mech, but they're just not enough armor for me. Too much BB. Cut the arms off the Hellbringer. I cut the arms off the Vulture. I glued the arms on the Vulture. I was like, why not? Let's make it look a little different. It's one of the variants. I was actually looking for like a Gauss rifle that I could glue on there because I wanted to make the C variant. I couldn't find two of anything that really like spoke to me, and I didn't want to just cut the little guns off the Vulture's standard arms, so that's why I did this. But anyway, great use for these like extra legs, right? Because the thing about Mad Cats, Timberwolves, is like, the Vulture shares their legs. They have, so you can do a lot of different things. You could even take one of these standard Timberwolves, right? The ones that we got in the Wave 1 boxes or in the Clan Invasion box, and you could just swap one of the legs before you paint it, right? And give it a more dynamic pose. So really neat things I think you can do because the Timberwolf is such a very common and prolific mech. And here, just for point of comparison, I did get one of Tom's beautifully painted Vultures here from his Jade Falcon Force. So you can kind of see the difference in how they look. So there's that. So overall impression on that Timberwolf TC, I love it. I think it's really cool. I would buy more of them, but I already bought a bunch. I think I'm going to put one of them in maybe my Goliath Scorpions. That's what I'm painting right now. I may have put this Vulture in the Goliath Scorpions as well. And then I think I'm going to stick another one in my House Horses. Is that okay? I don't know. You guys have to tell me what's blasphemy and what's not. I feel like it'll be fine. So anyway, that's my opinion on that Timberwolf TC. Very impressed with with the quality of it. And by the way, assembly was a cinch. The way the legs socketed onto the hips, the way the arms glued on, everything was very, very easy. So this was definitely one of the easier ones that I put together. So this one gets definitely 10 out of 10 for me. And again, Empire alone, guys, if you got some money burning a hole in your pocket, or you're a lore junkie, it's a must-have if you're a lore junkie. But even if you just want a cool book to page through before you go to bed, look at some great BattleTech pictures. This is the book I would highly recommend. I know it comes in digital copy. That's great too, but then you won't be able to like fold out the giant map and get lost in it like I just did. So I'm always a big proponent of the hardbacks, but they do have a PDF on that Catalyst store as well. So that's it, guys. I'm all done. I'm going to wrap this one up. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget 8/1, big stuff coming. So keep your eyes out. Listen to the soundtrack. Check out the website. Some really, really cool stuff there. So that's all I've got. Guys, don't forget Aries Games and Minis, for all your exciting BattleTech needs. Don't forget to check out Terrainify. I recently did a review on the terrain that they have provided. I just bought a whole bunch more, so expect to see a whole table of really cool spires and things coming probably in that campaign series that I talked about. Terrainify.com. It's a fantastic, fantastic terrain that'll bring your battle grid to life. And last but not least, if you do want to support the channel, as I mentioned earlier, you got the super thanks. We also got Patreon. Every dollar counts, guys. We really appreciate it. So, of course, thank you, number one. And number two, stay tuned. Always great stuff coming from Death from Above Wargaming. Have a great night.